Lewis Hamilton joins Ferrari. Wow. Today I'm going to discuss what does this mean for F1 and for so many of the different drivers that will be involved. So, first of all, I think that it shows how much confidence Hamilton has in himself to sign this deal, especially um 2025. He's he's gonna be 40 years old going into the season, but in the start of 2026 he'll be 41. So pretty much he's gonna be, over the age of 40 for most of the season, and at that age, the fact that he is putting up this challenge against Leclerc, who's an established driver. For some people, he is considered a generational talent. For most people, he's considered an elite driver, elite qualifier, who's arguably the best qualifier on the grid. So that's something that, first of all, I should touch upon, is that Hamilton and then Leclerc, essentially, whoever there's two legacies on the line. Leclerc against the statistical greatest of all time. If Leclerc can beat him, what would that do to his legacy? The same way what it did to Verstappen's legacy. It wasn't just any title, it was a title that he won against seven-time champion. But they were in different cars, right? So the argument can be made, or Verstappen might have had the fastest car, or he might have had more favorable conditions, etc. Other people can make the argument. But because Hamilton and Leclerc are going to be on the same team now, essentially, it's going to be pretty much as close as the conditions can get. Yeah, you can say the car favors one person or the other, but it's as fair as you can get in terms of conditions, that one variable, which is the machinery dependence. And for Hamilton, most would argue, or essentially on the surface, you would think he has more to lose than he has to gain, because he already has this position as arguably the greatest of all time, and he is the statistical greatest of all time. But coming up against Leclerc, if he loses, or like if it is like very equal, people might think, oh yeah, that might taint his legacy, or people would view him as like lesser, or like not as good as they thought before. But I disagree. I think there's actually more to gain for Lewis Hamilton. The reason why he's still in the sport, the reason why he kept going despite what happened in Abu Dhabi, is because of how much he wants the eighth world title. This shows his confidence in himself, his passion, his ambition, motivation, all of these characteristics that are driving him forward to make this very, very risky move to Ferrari for his legacy, given how Ferrari has been for like the last 15 years, almost 2 decades of shambles. They haven't won a title for that long. So I think very risky move, but we'll see. I think Leclerc will be going into his prime, or maybe is even in his prime in 2023. We really couldn't see that much from him because of the unfortunate conditions, like obviously a lot of bad luck throughout the season. The car didn't suit him for like over a half of the season, like most of the first half. But I think now that they have two very good drivers, even though Hamilton prefers on the understeer side, Leclerc prefers on the oversteer side, I feel like they can still find a fine balance, because Hamilton has proven before, for example, in McLaren, the car was an oversteer car, and he was arguably the fastest driver in years like 2012. Very quick in 2010. He was still in contention in the last race. He won the title in 2008. 2007, lost it by 1 point. So Hamilton is a very adaptable driver, and I think he really can go into Leclerc's, I mean, I don't want to call it backyard. 2024 will be a key year for Leclerc, because I don't think Ferrari will be competitive enough to win the title. But I think if Leclerc can build the team around him in 2024, he can beat Hamilton. Like, no matter, like, I think the reason being is because he'll have the trust in the team that he didn't have in 2022. and remember how good Leclerc was in early 2022 before all the problems started. We can have that Leclerc, but on another level of consistency and probably even reliability, because with the Vasseur dynasty and Leclerc, the team being essentially Leclerc's backyard, the same way that Red Bull is Verstappen's backyard for like the last 5 years, pretty much. I think that Leclerc can really make a statement by beating Hamilton. Now, I want to discuss finally how fast will the Ferrari be, or kind of like will the performance of the cars affect it? And of course, it will. If Hamilton can not only beat Leclerc and win the title, I think he's the undisputed GOAT in like 2025. Like I myself, like I would 100% say this, and I think most people should and probably would be inclined to say it as well, because you can make comparisons between like Hamilton, Senna, Schumacher, whoever else is in the GOAT debate in your opinion. Look at their careers. But Hamilton in this modern era, like how competitive it is, how like machinery dependent the sport is, and going from 2023 where the Red Bull was untouchable except for one race, which was Singapore, to go into 2025 where Hamilton joins a new team, his debut season in the new team where he's 40 years old, when most drivers retire in their mid-30s, most good drivers, like look at Vettel, and then he wins the title. That's just hands down GOAT performance, especially against Leclerc, who have been in this team for 5 years. Not an inexperienced driver, an established elite driver. Leclerc is, and if Hamilton goes in, beats him across the season, puts up a fight with him and quali, and perhaps even beats him, then he is hands down undisputed GOAT in my opinion. So I think so much legacy on the line for both of Leclerc and Hamilton. I think there's so much to gain for Leclerc for beating Hamilton. If the Ferrari is competitive, he can win obviously his maiden title if he doesn't win it in 2024, which I think the Red Bull will be too fast for anyone competing with them again. But essentially, if the Ferrari is competitive, which I think they will be, the reason being is Red Bull will soon reach their physical aerodynamic limit. You can't develop something past its limit, it's not possible in physics. So I do think that Ferrari is going to catch up to Red Bull. I think Hamilton leaving will leave Mercedes in a very, very difficult position in terms of where to develop the car. So I don't think Mercedes will be the second fastest car. I think Ferrari will consistently stay as the second fastest car going forward. And I think especially in 2025, they'll have two very good drivers. And essentially they can give very good feedback on how to push development forward. Well, yeah, that's pretty much it. Amazing news. It will be so good for Formula One to have such a good driver partnership, to have such a legend like Hamilton in Ferrari, the legendary team. I just can't wait for 2025. More reason to be excited to watch F1. But thank you for watching. See you later.